Coming up on today's show, we're going to look over a CBS Sports article that had Denver potentially landing two marquee players. Now, before we jump into all that, if you couldn't tell through the first 5 seconds of the video, I'm not at 100% right now. Full disclosure, I got my wisdom teeth taken out on Thursday. I really can't open my mouth all that much, so the energy, unfortunately, is not going to be where I want it to be. But just bear with me because I didn't want to go another day without getting you guys some content, so I came into the office to get this video done. So apologies for, looking like Bugs Bunny right now. But with that being said, and speaking of getting my wisdom teeth taken out, I've been on the couch pretty much all weekend long up until now, just crushing, honestly, new show, Good Doctor. Really good show. So what show are you watching right now? Give me some inspiration because I recently finished Silicon Valley, and I'm kind of looking for a new show. Also watching Jane the Virgin. Very good show. So let me know if you got a good show you can recommend to me or just a show you're watching right now down in the comment section. Now, let's talk about a potential trade for Devin White. What? So CBS Sports listed the Broncos as a Devin White trade destination. Now, if you remember, the former number 5 overall pick requested a trade back in April. And the Bucs, if I remember correctly, said they have no interest in trading Devin White. Now, he actually is a kind of an enigma of a player. He's got really good stats, but PFF hates him. They ranked him 74th out of 81. Now, here were the other teams listed as potential Devin White trade destinations: the Buffalo Bills, the Los Angeles Chargers, and the Las Vegas Raiders. So, does it make sense for Denver to trade for Devin White? What? Did CBS just completely forget about this whole thing called the NFL Draft? It's 3 days. It's the end of April. This year is in Kansas City. And Denver picked a linebacker with one of their 5 precious picks. I don't really see the logic. I honestly don't, as to why Denver would be a Devin White trade destination. They signed a linebacker this offseason in re-signing Alex Singleton, and then they drafted an inside linebacker in Drew Sanders for a scheme that only plays 2 inside linebackers. So it's not like they're looking for a fourth and they run 3, like a 4-3 front. That's not the case here. Not the case here. Now, this is what Cody Benjamin from CBS Sports said in his write-up. A polarizing 4-year starter for Tampa Bay, White is an athletic freak who's drawn high marks from coach Todd Bowles and posted gaudy numbers for the position. But he's entering a contract year and could command near record money despite middling grades as a coverage man, reportedly requesting a trade the week of the draft. Now, remember when I said PFF didn't like Devin White? It's bizarre, because how do you not like a guy who had 5.5 sacks last year as an off-ball linebacker, right? He's a phenomenal blitzer. He's a crazy good athlete. Like, I know it's the NFL. They're all crazy good athletes, but he makes the good athletes look slow. Like, that's just how good of an athlete he really is. 5 pass breakups and 8 tackles for loss. He, of course, was instrumental in that Super Bowl run back in 2020 when he went off for 9 sacks. But since then, he has not looked like someone who's worthy of a Roquan Smith 5-year, $100 million contract. I just don't see why Denver would be a landing spot in general after drafting Drew Sanders. Like, if we want to argue about whether or not Devin White's a good player or Devin White's worthy to give a pick for or give a big contract to, that's a separate conversation in my book. But why would they go after a linebacker after just drafting a linebacker? Like, to me, those two just they just don't align. But the big issue might not even be just they already drafted one, so why get another? They just don't have the money. Like, look at Denver's cap space for 2024. Negative. That's not a typo. Negative $39 million. So if you're trading for a guy like Devin White, you are doing it kind of like what Miami did with Bradley Chubb, with the full expectation to trade for him, and then 30 minutes later, nail and figure out your contract extension for him, right? You probably get that done before the trade. So, negative $39 million. They just don't have the money to give out a 5-year, $100 million contract or $90 million contract, whatever Devin White might get, for a linebacker when they're strapped for cash. Like, they can open some money up by moving on from some players, and I think they will, but they also have to make Pat Surtain the highest paid cornerback a year from now. And that's going to eat up a good amount of the budget for 2024. So, not just the Drew Sanders, reasoning for passing on him, but also financially, I really just don't think it can get done. Now, let me know. What do you trade for Devin White? Did you just listen to everything I said and said, screw you, Petey? No, Devin White's just that great of a player. I don't want to miss out on getting a generational type linebacker who can be the middle of this defense and the leader for years to come. And maybe you're right about a lot of that, but I just don't think the timing is right. Plus, is Denver a Devin White contract extension away from winning a Super Bowl? Probably not, if I'm being honest. Now, another player CBS Sports included as a potential trade target for the Broncos was Austin Ekeler. So, if you remember, he requested a trade if he was not going to get an extension at the very beginning of this offseason, and the Chargers have no aspirations to give him that said extension. He's set to make $6.1 million this season. That is 13th amongst running backs. So I can see why he wants more money, and he knows that his career is starting to dwindle down a little bit as he enters the final year of his contract. Should I just state the obvious now, or should I do it later? Interdivision trades are rare. They're not impossible, but they are rare. Skilled players going from one interdivision team to another via trade, I was going to say mythological, but it did happen last year with TJ Hawkinson from the Lions to the Vikings, so it's just going to be super rare. I'm talking so rare that the cow is still mooing while you eat it. Like, it's just not going to happen. Whether Denver has a need and whether or not they would want to pursue Austin Ekeler, like, there's just I just don't see a way the Chargers, unless Denver blows them out of the water. Unless Denver blows the Chargers out of the water, LA's just not going to trade him to Denver. Like, it's just that simple, right? There doesn't need to be a whole lot of rhyme or reason behind this. I don't see a team in a division trading away their star running back to another team within the division so that they can play them twice. Like, that just does not make sense in my brain. Now, here were the other teams as potential Austin Ekeler destinations. The New York Jets, I can kind of see behind. They're really all in on Aaron Rodgers this year, and Breece Hall is coming off an ACL injury, so like Javonte Williams, he may not be ready at the start of the season. Houston, I guess I can kind of get my head behind because they love old, good players. Like, look at their roster. It's a bunch of grandpas, but not bad grandpas. And then Denver, I just don't see the logic in. Now, Ekeler last year for the Chargers was fantastic, right? He didn't rush for 1,000 yards, but he is like another LT down there in Southern California. 18 total touchdowns. It just doesn't matter how it gets done. He has a knack for finding the end zone. But very similar to Devin White, the same hiccup I have just for Austin Ekeler, if we can just get over the fact that there's just no way the Chargers are going to trade their star running back to a team within their own division, is he wants a contract extension. And I'm not in the business of giving older players contract extensions when Denver is not in a position to go on a Super Bowl run this year and shouldn't be approaching this of, let's go all in on 2023, and if we give out some bad contracts now but we win a Super Bowl, it'll be worth it. No, you're just going to give out a bunch of bad contracts, and you're going to eat a lot of dead money and then not be active in free agency the next 2-3 seasons because you are paying these guys who are no longer even on your roster. So for that reason, I'm passing on both of these players. But if you had to pick one, who would it be? Devin White or Austin Ekeler? Put the initials for the player if you really like one guy or the other down in the comment section below. And before we get on out of here and I get back to putting, my ice little head strap thing, if you will, on my face, the Broncos Stadium renovations are coming along here, and the new Jumbotron, which is going to be 70% bigger than the previous one, fourth largest in the NFL, you can see is getting underway. This next picture, this comes from Zach Stevens' Twitter account, and it's going to be ginormous. What's interesting is I was talking to producer Rolly about this, who I dragged in on this Sunday to do this video for you guys, is Denver is also looking into possibly moving stadiums, right? Building a brand new stadium maybe by the airport or somewhere else. So shout out to the Walton Penner for having we don't give a shit money, spending $100 million on a new Jumbotron that very well only could be there for a limited time. Now, maybe there's a way they could pick up the Jumbotron and move it to the new stadium. I guess they could do that. I don't really know what it's like to move a Jumbotron. But with that being said, spending $100 million on a ginormous flat screen TV and then maybe selling your house 3 years from now is an all-time we're super duper rich and we have more money than we know what to do with move. All right, that's going to do it for us on today's show. Apologies once again for the low energy, the Bugs Bunny face, all that good stuff. We're going to sign off, and we'll see everyone later. Hopefully, I'm back to normal tomorrow.